Trespassing in a Child's Head Unwillingly by Kitty Cat on AO3, Chapter 34. Izuku shifted between his feet, chewing on his bottom lip. The beach felt colder than last time, even though he knew it was the same. He paused, digging his feet into the soft sand before he stepped out of it again. The sand fell from his bare feet, and he began walking again. The coarse rocks of the sand helped ground him even more. Kacchan shifted and Izuku jumped, almost forgetting his friend was there. Unlike Izuku, he hadn't moved from the bench on the sand. "This is a stupid fucking plan," Kacchan muttered, tucking his legs up onto the bench. They'd been there for an hour already, and the moonlight had gotten brighter. "What time is it?" Izuku asked softly. Kacchan huffed but shifted to access his phone. 1 a.m., he responded before stuffing it back in his pocket. "When are we calling this quits?" "He'll come," Izuku said, biting his lip. "He has to." Kacchan didn't know anything, but Izuku did. To keep a secret from his best friend made his skin crawl and his stomach churn. Kacchan was dying, and Izuku was too afraid to tell him. Saying it would make it true, which is why Izuku had to focus on this. Focus on the now and something he could do. He knew he could save at least one person. And maybe he would find the answer that would help Kacchan. He needed to help Kacchan. There was a sharp tug on Izuku's mind, and he whipped around, finding him face to face with a glowing purple portal. He didn't have time to move before a hand reached out and grabbed him. Kacchan's voice cut out as Izuku was thrown forward. Everything swirled around him and filled his lungs, leaving him unable to take a breath. A hand searched his body before it grabbed the police wire and tracker under his shirt. He felt them rip from him, but he was unable to stop it from leaving him. The purple left his vision and he gagged, coughing on the fresh air that filled his lungs. "Midoriya," a deep voice said. "Kurogiri, if he was right." "I assume that is you?" he asked from behind Izuku. Izuku finally managed to sit up, the world still spinning. He slammed his eyes shut, breathing heavily before he opened them again. The room was still now, and he could feel how cold it was. His knees were pressed against concrete, and all he could see was gray walls. They reminded him of the Vestige plane at times. "Midoriya," the man asked again, and Izuku felt his presence looming. "Please, catch your breath quicker." Izuku nodded, rubbing his eyes slowly. "Where am I?" he finally managed to whisper. "That is not important," Kurogiri stated, walking around Izuku. It was more like floating, until he leaned in front of Izuku. "Can you stand?" he asked, holding a gloved hand out. Izuku didn't hesitate to take it. This man meant him no harm. He had heard of his and Bruce's meeting, though he hadn't seen it. Who he was, Yoichi had kept from Tsukuyuchi. It wasn't for Izuku to know why, though it did feel slightly wrong. "They're going to look for me," Izuku said, letting go of the man's hand as he stood. "We could have talked there." Strangely enough, he didn't find himself stuttering like he would most times. Being here felt calmer than anywhere else. Kurogiri hummed, a deep sound that echoed on the walls. "I am aware of this, though there is a dampener here that will ruin the transmitter in your shoe, and I left the police wire behind." Izuku pressed down on his heel, hitting it quickly. The man didn't respond to it, and Izuku shrugged. It was worth a try. "Why did you wish to speak to the young master?" Kurogiri asked. Izuku hesitated, messing with his nails. "Well, it's a little weird, but I think I can help him." "So can I," Kurogiri countered. Izuku didn't respond, walking around the room slowly. It had no windows or door, the only way in, most likely Kurogiri's warp quirk. He wanted to ask the man all about it, but decided against it. Instead, he sighed. "I think I may have his grandma in me, like 3 when he talked to you." He hesitated as he said each word, trying to get it right. Tsukuyuchi had helped him come up with what to say, but Kacchan was supposed to be there to help him deliver it. "His grandmother?" Kurogiri asked, curiosity piqued in his voice. Izuku nodded. Yeah, it's weird, I know." He chuckled slightly. "Any chance I can try to talk to him? There's some other things I want to discuss." Kurogiri sighed, shaking his head. "I'm afraid not, Midoriya." He said his name kindly. The young master has been taken into surgery already. It will be days before he is released. Izuku's brows furrowed as he shook his head. Surgery? What are you talking about? Is he okay? Kurogiri studied him for a moment before he nodded. He will be as fine as he can ever be. Why do you care? We are villains. I mean, Izuku hesitated. Have you two actually killed anyone? I haven't kept up on the news. Don't get me wrong, what you're doing is really bad, and you'll probably go to jail for it, but he shook his head. There's always hope for change, right? Especially in Tomura's case. He's been manipulated all his life. I'm sure people will take that into account. Tomura, Kurogiri questioned. Izuku hesitated. Sorry, that's what Nana calls him. Kurogiri didn't ask who Nana was, nodding slightly. Even if I wish to believe you, I am sorry. It is far too late to pull him out of surgery. The process could kill him. Izuku sucked in a breath, biting his lower lip. He tasted copper and stopped, wiping his mouth. Is he sick? He finally asked. No, Kurogiri said. He is undergoing a much more invasive procedure. No one spoke for a moment, and Izuku swore the man had stopped moving altogether. If it wasn't for the slight cool air pushing through the room, moving his mist, Izuku would think he was stone. Well, any chance you could take me back? Izuku asked. Before you give my mom a heart attack. Again, the man didn't move, didn't speak. He just let Izuku shift uncomfortably on his feet. The cold concrete shocked through every time he moved. Izuku was about to call it quits and just sit down as the man spoke again. Can you promise his safety? That he will be admitted to a psych ward and his delusions cleared? No, Izuku said hesitantly, and Kurogiri nodded. Well, I mean, I'm just a random kid. I'm not even training to be a hero. But, I can put in a good word for him? I know the detective and All Might, he quickly corrected himself. Kurogiri laughed slightly, a sound Izuku wasn't even aware he could make. That will not bode well for young master. He was raised by a man opposite to All Might. He has based his whole existence on hating All Might. Izuku shrugged. Not the biggest fan of the man either. It's why me and him started talking in the first place. He didn't say anything else, still trying to keep moving. It was getting colder by the second. You have 3 days, Kurogiri stated. When he is out of surgery, life will get harder for everyone. Izuku's face twisted in confusion. If you know this, why don't you just stop it? Kurogiri walked up to Izuku, holding a hand to him. Izuku took it again, staring up at the man's face. His life is above all others. He stated simply before Izuku was pulled back into the swirling mass. This one was faster, and his stomach heaved as he was thrown back onto the now warm sand. He gagged, throwing up his breakfast as a hand touched his back gently. Izuku, Kachan whispered. What happened? Izuku curled up to his mom's chest, listening to her heartbeat. He slowed his breathing to match hers, messing with her hand. She didn't speak, but Izuku knew she was still awake. Neither had been able to sleep. Izuku's brain was going a mile a minute about Shigaraki. He still didn't know what Kurogiri had meant by surgery. He just had to hope it wouldn't hurt anyone. If it did, he knew it would be on him. He should have realized who they were sooner, should have been there faster. Maybe he could have stopped the surgery or done something to help Shigaraki. Nana would have known better. Maybe she could have convinced Kurogiri to help Tomura. Shh, his mom whispered, kissing the top of his head. He frowned but didn't move. I didn't say anything. He was fairly certain he hadn't been mumbling either. She chuckled slightly, but the sound was pained. I know, but I can feel your thoughts on you. You get your perceptiveness from me. She kissed the top of his head again, and he could feel her smile. He sighed, tucking his legs up. I just think, well, maybe I could have done something different. Maybe I could have promised that Tomura would be safe, or... His mom kissed his head, and he quieted. Trust me, baby. You've done far more than you think. You're still just a child. No one expects you to do anything perfect. Even adults don't do everything perfect. She hummed slightly before continuing. Even if there was something else you could have done, it's over now. We need to worry about the future, not the past. He nodded. That scares me too, he admitted. I feel bad that I haven't told Kachan. In 3 days? What does that even mean? His mom sighed. We have a doctor's appointment for this weekend, and Mitsuki and Masura have taken off work to be home. We'll tell them all once we know more. Is that how you did it? Izuku whispered, and she hummed in a silent question. Is that what you told yourself when you kept my father a secret? She sighed, sitting up. He moved off of her, but she grabbed him gently, moving him fully onto her lap. He was the same height as her now, so it was an awkward position. Still, he didn't move out of her hold. I can't say that I wouldn't do it again, she said honestly. The only thing I regret is marrying him in the first place. Not having you. Not at all, she promised. I knew he would always have to keep secrets from me. He was a hero, after all. As much as I hate him, I still hold some affection towards him. I hope that you don't hate him. Izuku didn't respond right away, curling his legs up. He didn't know how to tell his mom that he didn't hate him. He knew why his father had done what he did, but he knew he'd always be resentful of it. Not for him, but because he had left his mom alone. I want to help them, was what he did manage to say. She sighed. Help them with what? She asked, though it sounded like she may already know. Fight, he whispered. I've gotten better with my quirk, and if it comes down to it, I want to help fight. I want to do what I need to make sure Kachan stays safe. You always think of others, she stated before she nestled into his hair. Just stay safe, okay? Stay on the back lines. Don't search for danger. Izuku nodded. I promise, he stated, curling into her more. Kachan was asleep nearby, curled up on one of the other couches. He had fallen asleep almost the instant they had gotten back to the house at 3 a.m. Izuku had no idea what this would mean for their future. Izuku picked his feet up off the floor, tucking them under him. Kachan and the rest of his class was already training, their quirks lighting up the sky. Izuku envied them a bit. They were so confident in their abilities, and they didn't feel like they were constantly being watched. He at least knew he was being watched, so it wasn't as paranoid. They all paused in their breaks to look over at him and his new notebook. It was his first one outside of the plane in a while, and it felt weird to actually carry it around with him. He was supposed to be training. Midnight was the one who had told him to come, but he still felt guilty. He was missing class to train, and he wasn't even doing that. He wasn't sure where to start. Someone cleared their throat, and Izuku jumped, slamming his notebook shut. Eraserhead stared down at him, his eyebrows set in worry. Midoriya. He said the name slowly, as if testing it. Izuku nodded, biting his lip. Yeah, sorry, He looked down at his notebook before deciding it was best to stay silent. Get up. You and Shinso will be with me today. Izuku noticed the purple-haired boy standing behind Eraserhead, a scarf around his neck, similar to Eraserhead's. Izuku frowned. I thought Shinso wasn't joining yet. Come, Eraserhead cut him off. Izuku shoved his notebook down into his bag, trying to stop the way his hands shook. He had really only trained with Gran Torino before. Kachan didn't count because he didn't use his quirk for that. He wouldn't have any choice this time. He went to follow Eraserhead before there was a slight pain in the back of his mind. He stepped to the side right as All Might went to touch his shoulder. The pro seemed put off by the fact Izuku had moved, but didn't mention it. Actually, I will be taking young Midoriya to train, he stated, his eyes locked on Eraserhead. Izuku was glad he didn't look down at him. He wasn't sure if he'd be able to hide his thoughts in front of everyone. You have other things to do, Eraserhead argued. All Might shook his head. This has been discussed with Nezu. I will be taking Midoriya to privately train. Eraserhead's eyebrows creased in annoyance until he sighed and turned away to guide Shinso. Izuku stood awkwardly beside his father, before the man cleared his throat. Nezu told me that you had access to the quirks, he whispered, beginning to walk somewhere. Izuku followed, deciding not to question it. Not quite, he admitted. I only have a very limited part of each, and using any together makes me sick because I have to call on another vestige. It's a very weak version of quirks you may use and how they work. It was easy for him to talk about the quirk. What do you mean? I only use my quirk. All Might commented, holding the door open for Izuku. He stepped out and waited for All Might to close the door before they started to walk again. You don't have a genetic quirk. What you have is a borrowed remnant of the Vestiges. Unlike me, though, you're able to use them simultaneously, so you probably don't even realize you're using them. He hummed, trying to think. Like Nana. She has such a cool quirk, and for you, it shows itself when you jump. He could feel All Might's gaze on him, but he brushed it off. You tend to stay off the floor for longer than you should. That's because her quirk allows you to push those distances. And Black Whip, that's a Dai's quirk. Anyways, it could be used to enhance your joints when you jump or hit, though that's speculatory. I haven't watched many of your videos since learning the truth. His voice faded out as he refocused into the situation. All Might coughed slightly, humming, yes. Well, they are interesting theories, he finally said, nodding. He opened a door to a smaller gym, and Izuku followed behind, listening to the door click closed behind them. Has Nana told you this? He enunciated the name slightly, as if he wasn't used to saying it. Izuku could sense the double question on it, however. He shook his head. No, most of this is my own notes, and, not right now. To speak to her, I mean, he quickly added. She's still trying to figure it all out, and the rest say we don't have time. All Might nodded before he sighed. We need to talk, he said quietly, sitting on a bench. Izuku frowned, shaking his head. Can we not? He asked, but didn't seem to matter. He was probably right anyways. If they didn't talk about it, it would just get worse. But Izuku was so tired already. Eventually he sighed, sitting on the opposite end of the bench. He pulled his feet up, resting his chin on his knees. What do you want to talk about? All Might hummed, his eyes downcast. Have you told young Bakugou yet? He asked first. Izuku shook his head, not trusting himself to speak. That is probably for the best. I don't think we can afford any distractions right now. Again, the gym fell into silence. It made Izuku's skin crawl, and he groaned, sitting straighter. All for one. He's the one who hurt you all those years ago. When I was a kid? He didn't need to bring up the exact day his father had changed his life. All Might nodded. Yes, I thought he was going to kill me. The funny thing is, all I could think of was your mom. His voice grew softer, and Izuku turned to look at him. He cleared his throat, coughing slightly. Well, that is to say that I was sorry. He deflated slightly, his shoulders hunching in. He didn't look much like the number one hero Izuku had grown up with. Now that he was closer, Izuku could see the gray hairs and the blonde and dark eye bags under his blue eyes. He could see the sunwear on his arms and face and the wrinkles that lined his eyes from his smile. Izuku had never wondered how fake it might have been when he was younger. Sorry, was all he managed to say before his throat closed up with tears. All Might nodded. She had yelled at me not long before that fight. I had made a promise that I would be there for both of you. But when I was fighting, all I could worry about was you and her, that I would break that promise I had made to her. Izuku hummed. Why did you never come back? He whispered. He laughed slightly, tucking a leg up onto the bench. He looked almost comical, fitting his large frame onto the bench. Did she tell you that it was her idea? He looked over to Izuku, who nodded slightly. All Might sighed. I thought so. She was always worried how you would see me. That wasn't true? Izuku asked softly. All Might shook his head. It was me. I yelled at her and told her that I never wanted you. His voice broke slightly before he cleared his throat. I lied because I thought it would make it easier. That having her hate me would make it easier to see her go. But it didn't. For years I wanted to return. That's why I went back to America. I thought if I was across the world, I would find something else to focus on. That maybe I would stop having nightmares of her crying, of your empty cradle. He chuckled, running a hand through his hair. It must sound so pathetic coming from me. I was the one who ran. Izuku shook his head, sighing. No, it doesn't, he whispered. I used to look up to you, you know, he asked, and All Might looked over. Every time I would see you on TV or I saw new merch of you, I guess I did what any young boy would do. I imagined you were my father. All Might chuckled along with Izuku, both sounding pained. I suppose that came true, All Might whispered. Izuku nodded. Now I can see how selfish that was, though. Wanting to see you walk in the door and tuck me in, tell me I could be a hero too. Selfish. Well, you were out there, saving people, bringing families back together, Izuku explained. Now that I know that fantasy is true, I don't think I want it anymore. All Might nodded. I could never be much of a father. I was never much of a husband. I never stopped loving you, though. Either of you. Izuku nodded. He wasn't sure what the man wanted him to say in response. Izuku wasn't going to lie and say he loved the man. He didn't, not as a father and not as a hero anymore. He respected him, but that was it. I understand, was what he finally decided on. All Might stood, and Izuku glanced over at him, taking his feet off the bench. All Might glanced over before he nodded slightly. I made a promise to your mother that I wouldn't let you get hurt, he explained. You ready to train so I can fulfill that promise? Okay, so I swear I already recorded this and I cannot find it anywhere on my laptop. And it was the last one. I had it yesterday's. It was so weird. I had it done and I had it scheduled, but for some reason it just wasn't there. When 6 o'clock rolled around, I hadn't gotten my usual notification that it got posted. And so I double checked at 7 because I'm okay, it should have been posted by now, even if I accidentally moved the post by date. No, it wasn't posted because it was just never done. So I had to repost it, which also messed up the thumbnail and such. So it's been something. So once I got my computer taken in, I had to fully move everything over to USB, and in doing so I lost stuff that I had on this computer. So with the thumbnail, I actually screenshotted it from YouTube to use as the thumbnail, which, not my best moment, but it's gonna have to work because I got 3 more chapters of this and I'm not bothering with that. That's just too much work. But yeah, I'm looking at it now and it doesn't have any scheduled for today, even though I know I scheduled them for today because I'd be busy this entire weekend. So I'm having to re-record it because now I can't even find it on my computer. As for the fic, sorry. This one, I got a comment on one of my other videos that really made me laugh, and it was kind of talking about how they know it's not supposed to be All Might bashing, but it really they don't like All Might in it, which makes me laugh because that's kind of the point of writing. Not everyone should have the same opinion on stuff. Even with me being the writer, you won't always have the same opinion on the stuff I write as I do as I write it, because everyone interprets things differently according to their own experiences. And this just really makes me laugh because that's the point of writing. That's why I write what I do. I want 3-dimensional characters that can be explored in different ways. So I'm glad I at least kind of managed to do that. I know a lot of you don't like All Might. Okay, so this is a little more personal details about me, but I grew up with my father. He was in the military, so I grew up with around a lot of people who had parents in the military and everything, and I went to camps for military kids, and so I saw a lot of differing opinions on it, and a lot of people who blamed their parents, their fathers, because it was usually the fathers in the military. A lot of people who blamed their fathers for, their parents being split up because they were in the military and they were constantly moving around, and then deployments happen, and they're gone for 2 years at a time, and the mom's left alone to raise the kids. So I saw a lot of things that it was a lot of them would blame their dad for it. But then I also heard other opinions that they couldn't blame their dad for it because they knew their dad was helping the country and working to support the family, which in my opinion is kind of what All Might's doing here. Yes, he's not sending home a paycheck or anything, but he is ensuring that they stay safe by being away from them or by not interacting with them. And so I don't write it in this, but I'm sure he told Sugu, he couldn't have told Sugu to watch over her, but with the Mitsuki's and everything, with Mitsuki and Inko, they moved in together and were protection for each other. Mitsuki probably knows about All Might. I didn't actually explore that at all in this, and I'm kind of out of time for it. But yeah, Mitsuki probably knows because Inko moved in after, and Mitsuki was with her all throughout UA, because I'm assuming Mitsuki went to UA as well before she became a costume designer. That way she had that kind of experience starting out in the hero industry and then moving to high fashion. Anyways, so I don't know, like, my personal experience, I don't know if it's fair to hate All Might for what he's done. Yeah, he was stupid, he made mistakes, he probably shouldn't have gotten with Inko in the first place, like she explains. And they definitely shouldn't have had a kid under those circumstances. But as Inko says, she doesn't blame Izuku for any of this, because none of this is on Izuku. The divorce is never on the children, unless, like, the child's a psychopath or something. But the divorce of parents is never really on children, despite them internalizing that it is a lot of the time. And so All Might here, I can't fully hate him in this story, because I've written stories where he's just a complete jackass. Like, he straight up calls Izuku a monster in one of the ones I'm due, because, you know, he has a monster quirk and he killed his mom and everything. But he straight up calls, like, Izuku a monster and leaves him when he needs help, kind of thing, which I don't think is quite accurate. I started off hating All Might when I first started writing, but as I've written more, I think he's a lot more than that. And maybe that's just because of how I write him is more three-dimensional than canon. I haven't actually watched the anime in some time, so everything I'm going off of is probably all fanon or my own personal things. But so I wanted that little bit of a talk between Izuku and All Might at the end to kind of explain some things, that he doesn't love his father. He doesn't love him as a father or even as a hero. Like, he's the reason that Izuku's not really wanting to be a hero anymore. Like, he's not really pushing to join the hero course. He wants to save people and help people, but he doesn't really want to be a hero because he's seen what being a hero will do to families, like his mom. The very first part, I think I should have talked about this earlier. 3 days, yeah. Not 3 days, that's next chapter is the big thing when Shigaraki comes out of surgery. A very important thing to note is Kurogiri's, what was it? Where did he say it? Oh my gosh, he said it. His life comes above everyone else's or something. I don't know where it is. Like, I'm trying to look for it right now. But yeah, his life comes above everyone else's is probably one of my his life is above all others. It really shows that despite the fact that Kurogiri is aware of what's happened to him, he still holds that love for Shigaraki because that's what he was created to do. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and edit this, and hopefully it'll be posted by 6 tonight. I'm having people over for dinner, and that just means a lot of cooking. So hopefully I get this all edited and scheduled for tonight, and hopefully actually scheduled, because holy crap. But yeah, as I said in my post, if you guys want to go take a look at my posts, I may start branching out to other authors if I finish all of my own works. And if you have any, like, suggestions for authors I should reach out to and ask, or any stories you'd like me to read for the first time on this, go ahead and leave them in the comments. And I will see you guys at 35, the second to last chapter.